We move on in the 2021 expansion draft previews with the Boston Bruins being the third out of 30 teams we have to cover. The Bruins, it's a little bit interesting. You got some stuff you may or may not want to worry about. It's a big question depending on how you look at it, as the Bruins fan base is very divided with some of the opinions. But I think that my list will make all Bruins fans happy, except for maybe the fair share, aka Marcus. Anyways, if you're new to the channel and you haven't already subscribed, please make sure to do that as we're trying to get to 900 subscribers. Just keep trying to ignore that. Keep trying to blooper there. Keep trying to keep the grind going, keep the entertainment. Get these series out there, get them done. At the time of recording, it is currently 9:36 p.m. I'm recording this the day before because tomorrow is Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals, and I plan to stream the entire thing on Streamlabs. Entire thing. So it's going to be pretty fun. I might stream with a couple of my friends, bring them on, live stream the game together, talk to you guys a little bit, have a good time. So, anyways, I won't waste any of your time. Let's get into the Boston Bruins expansion draft preview. So before we get into my projected protected list, let's look at the exempt players. Matt Felipe, Oscar Steen, Jack Studnicka, Jacob Lauko, Robert Lantosi, Curtis Hall, Jesper Froden, Jack Chan, Urho Vakkainen, Victor Berglund, Nick Wolf, Brady Lyle, Jeremy Swayman, and Kyle Kaiser. There's no one really of note there besides Jeremy Swayman. If they didn't have Swayman protected, it really wouldn't cause them that many problems anyways. I still think that they'll work it out, and the exempt list, it's not a lot of players who are important, but it isn't terrible to have these guys exempt. So anyways, let's get into who I have on the projected protected list. So my projected list is consisted of 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, and 1 goaltender. So here are my forwards: Patrice Bergeron because of no movement clause, David Pastrnak, Brad Marchand because of no movement clause, Charlie Coyle because of no movement clause, Taylor Hall, Jake DeBrusk, and Craig Smith. So, not too bad on the offense there. Bergeron, Marchand, Coyle, no movement clauses. No problem protecting Bergeron and Marchand. I actually wouldn't be surprised if the Bruins asked Coyle to waive his no movement clause, because honestly, it just hasn't really been the best in Boston. So maybe seeing him get a fresh new start potentially in Seattle really wouldn't surprise me. Taylor Hall, I know they didn't have to protect him because he is a UFA in 2021, but I put him in there anyways because I think that their unprotected list, I pretty much know who they're going to go for. I have an idea of who I want them to go for. So, it's not a problem protecting Taylor Hall. Jake DeBrusk, that's a bit of a controversial issue because I was questioning replacing him with Nick Ritchie, but I took DeBrusk over him because I think DeBrusk has value if they want to deal DeBrusk out of Boston. So it would be better to not put him there because I think Seattle, with they'll look at his resume and they'll say, hey, there's potential in this guy. So they may pick him up, but I think Boston may want to get something more out of him. And then Craig Smith, who was signed in the offseason last year, had relatively a good season. That I thought he earned himself a spot on the protected list, to be honest. I thought it was pretty good. On the blue line, for the defense, you have Charlie McAvoy, Matt Grzelcyk, and Brandon Carlo. So that makes sense. You got the young guys there. McAvoy notably took that big step up for the Boston Bruins this season, so he's obviously going to get that protected spot anyways. Matt Grzelcyk, one of those people that glues the blue line together, and Brandon Carlo, another underrated Bruins defenseman, another young one at that, who I think is a good forward, or I think is a good defender, and I think it's worth Boston keeping them. And then as for the goaltending, this is a bit of a controversial conversation because if Tuukka Rask does re-sign between now and the expansion draft, which I don't think he will because of the purpose of that, and if he even re-signs at all, I have Daniel, however you want to say it, Dan Vladar protected as the goaltender for the Boston Bruins. Now, that may come as a bit of a question because, Seattle can negotiate with these guys and make contracts days before. They can. But Rask has said pretty clearly he only wants to play in Boston. Only wants to play in Boston. We've heard that so many times. We've heard him say, "I don't want to leave Boston. If I leave Boston, I'm either going back to Finland or I'm retiring." So it's not worth wasting one of your protected spots to protect him when you know that he'll just retire anyways. And look, there's so much controversy around Rask with the opting out last season and how he's played this season and in the playoffs. It's a big question, but I still think he is worth some stuff. So I'm not gonna have him protected. I'm gonna put Vladar over him. Anyways, we move on to the unprotected list. At your forwards, you have David Krejci, Andre Kasse, Nick Ritchie, Chris Wagner, Sean Corrali, Trent Frederick, Curtis Lazar, Cameron Hughes, Johannes Koppinen, Carson Kuhlman, Greg McKaig, Anton Bleed, Zach Senyshyn, Alexander Kalakashev, I might have said that wrong, and Peter Sholeric, as well as Jacob Forsbacka Carlson. So, starting off there, you have David Krejci. It's very controversial what he will do. He is old as hell, and he's taking a big cap hit in Boston alone, so I don't even think they need to worry about him going to Seattle. And he is also a UFA, and there's also been talks of whether they bring him back or not, but we'll get into that in a future video. Andre Kasse, not a terrible option. I'd say he is a fairly good winger for the Boston Bruins. He can he's a good, bottom six guy at best. I don't think he's going to be the top six guy they think he will be, but it's not terrible to keep him around. Nick Ritchie is the next guy here. So Nick Ritchie, like I said, you could replace him with Jake DeBrusk. You can do whatever you want. I really wouldn't blame you. Nick Ritchie, that very just hitting presence, that physicality. I want to be honest and say he really is just a Boston Bruin, period. He's good enough. He hits well. And, he's physical. And he brings that physicality to the roster. So if Seattle wanted to go out for him, if he's not exposed, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Wagner, Corrali, Frederick, Lazar, not terrible picks. Solid bottom six players, if anything. And then the rest of the guys, they don't really mean much. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. On the blue line, you have John Moore, Mike Riley, Kevin Miller, Connor Clifton, Jeremy Lazone, Jacob Zaboral, Jared Tenorti, and Linus Anderson. Or Anderson, however you want to say it. John Moore. I don't think he goes anywhere. I don't think he gets claimed by Seattle. I just don't see it happening. Mike Riley, if they can strike a contract offer with him, but the Bruins are looking like they're gonna re-sign him for what looks like a 4-year contract. If they can get to Mike Riley before the Bruins do, it wouldn't be a bad idea to keep him around or to try and pick him up because he is a solid, underrated top 4 defender. Kevin Miller, he's injury prone. I don't see him going. Connor Clifton, same thing. Jeremy Lazone, that's an interesting one. I really wouldn't be surprised if we saw Jeremy Lazone on his way out to Seattle. He is a solid defender, getting paid the amount that he does with the amount of money he gets paid is pretty impressive. So I definitely think Boston's considering leaving him out. And then Jared Tenorti's the other really notable guy as well. Good physicality, good fighting. He fought Tom Wilson back when the Carlo incidents went down and all that. And then anyways, on to the goaltenders, Yaroslav Halak, Tuukka Rask, and Callum Booth. Callum Booth, you don't need to worry about. Tuukka Rask, I think he re-signs with Boston anyways, or retires, as we said earlier. And Halak, he's done in Boston. Generally, I feel like he's done everywhere. He might hang up the skates after this season, honestly. It really wouldn't surprise me. So that's my entire unprotected list, my entire breakdown of what I think the Boston Bruins will do. One player from each position that I think will get claimed. I'm going to put Nick Ritchie in the position for forward for the Boston Bruins. I think he's been solid, good hitter, as I said. For the blue line, Jeremy Lazone. I think for the amount he gets paid, he's still a great defender, as I said earlier. And then for goaltenders, if you can strike a contract with Tuukka Rask, I guess you can make that work. But, there really isn't anyone that you can go for there. I guess Callum Booth wouldn't be a terrible idea. I really don't know, to be honest. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know who you think the Boston Bruins will lose in the expansion draft. Let me know your protected list, your unprotected list in the comments down below. Thank y'all for watching, for your support as of late, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.